Hi, and welcome to Yeshiva Sheva Aver. I'm Rabbi David Katz. This week is Parashas Toldos. Questions, comments, or feedback I can be reached at Rabbi Katz at virtualyeshiva.com. All right, we've seen the article, All Grown Up Now. And this is a fitting topic, is it not? All right, we're in Parashas Toldos, all grown up now. Look at who we have. Rebecca, we remember her. She was 3 years old yesterday. Yitzchak was just born, messing around with Ishmael. Right? Esau and Yaakov were in the womb of Rebecca just a couple minutes ago. Now we have Yaakov and Esau as grown men. Yitzchak is an old geezer. Rivka is the loving grandmother, right? And Abraham's gone. We've grown up. We're seeing these characters. Literally, Yitzchak was a boy like yesterday, and now he's the sagely grandfather. Little troublemaking kids selling the birthright. Now they're growing up and moving on in life. So this parsha is really lifelike. We know these people, and it's ironic because Yitzchak, Isaac. Generally, we say we don't know him. He's the least spoken of the forefathers. But under this way of viewing it, we know him very well. You don't have to have all the airtime. He was a little boy, then he got a little older, went on the altar, he was praying for kids, then he becomes the grandfather type. We've seen Isaac in every moment of life for a man that really matters, I think. We've seen him with his wife, we've seen him with his kids, seen him with his father, seen him go through the ultimate of test and trial. We've seen him with God. We've seen him with an enemy, right? We've seen him in the crucial moments of life. Rebecca, we've seen her in probably the most amazing parts of life. Just think no different or further than her with Eliezer and the mazel. Yaakov, we only know him as, super father, and he's, super this and super that. But in this parsha, we see him for who he is. A young guy, witty, dedicated. We see a real Jacob here. In Esau, as everyone knows, we see a bad guy. We see a really bad guy. But we don't even see the bad guy. We are told he is a bad guy. And, he might not be the Gadol, okay? He may have lost his Mashiach ben Yosef rights. We know that Israel was supposed to have, let's say, two figureheads at the top, like a Moses and Aaron, and Esau and Yaakov. And they're going to lead, the whole world into destiny, to Zion. Doesn't work out that way. So because it doesn't pan out, we say he's the worst guy that ever lived. And I don't think it's fair. And I know a lot of you feel the same way. Ishmael was not a great guy, yet God judged him favorably, and we see Ishmael repents at the end of his life. And there's an idea, a very strong idea, that as Esau is the gematria 376, which is the gematria Shalom. So there's an aspect of peace there. And his head was actually buried in the cave of Machpelah. When I went there over Sukkot, I saw the head. Just kidding. but his head was buried in the cave. And it tells you, the Zohar qualifies this, is that his head was actually absolutely holy and pure. His body was placed in this world, Olam Hazeh. So it's not so much that he's this bad guy. It's not so much that he went off. It's that his primal drive was something different. And it led him away from the blessing of Isaac, let's say. But it's going to serve a purpose. That there's going to be an aspect of Esau. And as I go on with the class, I'm going to express it. How it served not just a good function, but an essential function. Really, absolutely essential function. With that said, everybody, we've seen them in their best and their worst, right? We've seen them grow up, young and old. And I'll say this about Esau, and I'm going to explain this also in conjunction with his wife. The Jewish people are created that at Sinai, the impurity goes out, given the Torah, commanded to be a light to the nations. Well, what happens then to the nations? Are we saying get lost? Have a nice life? Unfortunately, a lot of people do. But the aspect is, if life is about refinement and product of character, one answer is to say, yeah, the Jewish way works. Become Jewish, learn Torah, live in the shtetl, and do the whole thing. But God sees it another way. Not there's to be the priests of the nations, and then there's to be the nations. Each one is an example and opportunity to say amen to the other one's existence. The Jew says amen to the ger says amen to the Jew. I see you, you see me. The just as male female are 100% different in external appearance. The Noahide ger nations, however you want to call them at this point, he has a different continuum, a different existence. His existence is, I will go through idolatry so that I can eventually come out and reject idolatry. It's the negative. I'll tell you what's wrong with the world, right? God keeps saying, hey, how about this? You say, no, wrong. Okay. Let's go a couple more years, 100 whatever years. How about this? No. It's like a logic exercise. When I was in college, I said, if Taco Bell is closed one day a week, what are the chances of it being open every day you go? And they say, 60%? You say, no. Okay. 40%. No. 20%. No. And then it took like 20 minutes. Then they say, 0%? Yes. So the idolatrous route is that where people are placed in predicament. And the predicament calls for, do you reject this? Yes. Do you reject this? Yes. Eventually you come out and you say, okay, done. Okay, I've had it. No more idolatry. I get it. Hashem hu Elohim. One God, one creator, understood. Now, when that happens, the way the creation is to work is the Jewish people then are supposed to be standing there with light to the nations, understanding the Torah, and say, hey, I understand you just rejected idolatry. And then now you've come to appreciate Hashem. You're probably going to want to keep Shabbos now, because what does Rashi say? Bring this in for topic's sake. Rashi says, a ger, his essence, has rejected idolatry, and Hashem, in creation of the world and Shabbos, is the essence of not idolatry. So for a ger to not keep Shabbos, Rashi says, would be akin to idolatry. Now, Rashi is telling you that. The ger knows that when he comes out of idolatry, what do you do when you're 6 years old? You want to ride a bike. Why? Because you're 6 years old, and 6-year-old kids ride bikes. Right? The body wants to get in a circular motion with the feet and go. So what happens when you come out of the tunnel of idolatry? You see the light, you have a Naaman experience, you look for the prophet of God, you look for the Torah, and you're going to want to keep Shabbos. And I will say this one time very clearly. Okay? When we speak of the so-called Goyim, and they are this and they are that, and they lack the part of the soul of this and they lack that, there's something called Nefesh Hager. And the Nefesh Hager has been in creation from Shem to Abraham all the way through till today. There are scholars of Israel who their main and primary function, says the Arizal, is Nefesh Hager. Making the Nefesh Hager to pull one out of idolatry, the urge, it's teamwork. It's the cycle of the universe. Evaporation goes up, it rains. The Gerim help the Jews do this, the Jews do it, helps the Gerim back and forth. It's like the famous joke, who's winning the war, the belt or the belt loop? Belt loop holds up the belt, but the belt holds up the belt. I mean, who's winning that war? So the Nefesh Hager then brings out, makes Ger Tzedek, i.e. the location in the upper world, Atzilus Malchus, which is irrelevant for the topic, but to say this is a righteous Ger. What he does is now based on the quality of him and his soul. Should he wish to convert, he may. If he wishes to, let's say, make Gerim himself as a Ger, he may. Whatever his soul wishes to do. This is the aspect of realizing one's holiness, his location in Torah, his dedication to God, rejection of idolatry. Nefesh Hager, the soul of the Ger. When you have removed the Nefesh Hager from the equation, then you have the so-called Goy, and it's this and it's that, and what it is, that is not a true reality. You have removed the door of convincing people of what they are. It's almost a form of like witchcraft where you say, hey, what do you think it is, A, B, or C? And the answer is D, but I'm not telling you, right? So what is the square root of blah, blah, blah? Is it A, B, C, or D, none of the above? And I don't tell you D. And you say, well, man, I don't know, A looks right. B, what do you think, Bob? A, B looks okay. And you'll never, ever get it. If you're not told what the opportunity is, it's like if God didn't give a Torah. If he didn't give a Torah, we would be debating, hey, what do you think, Stan? Do we come from monkeys? Well, I think we come from aliens from Dagobah. Really? Yeah, well, my religion is I believe that I'm of the Darth Vader sect of the world. And it would be such a crazy situation. We would all believe what we do, and the most creative guy would win. Right? We come from the planet of the apes. That's what would happen if there was no Torah. But there is a Torah. There is a Torah. Now we have an objective truth of which to go by. By eliminating Nefesh Hager, what you're saying is a goy is a goy is a goy. Have a nice life. Now, you may figure it out yourself. You may wake up one day and say, I got to get to synagogue. You may wake up one day and say, what is the story with this Moses guy? But if you're not so motivated, and let's face it, most people need a jump start. I know I certainly did. Just wake up one day and say, I am an Orthodox rabbi in Sfat, Israel, and my current location in Centerville, Ohio. Doesn't happen that way. So when you remove Nefesh Hager, the concept of an arousal of the soul, which is the revelation of the entire soul, neshama, ruach, nefesh, all the way up, right? The total Ger experience, finding Hashem, rejecting idolatry, finding your holiness, that is robbed. I am sorry, but it is a robbery. To withhold that information and then teach the glamour this and that, it's true because you can convince anyone of anything. I'm sure everyone's heard of the child's book, The Ugly Duckling. If you want to convince someone they're an ugly duckling, little kids are excellent at that. Well, look at Sally. She wears black shoes. Right? Little does she know it's okay to wear black shoes. Right? The other school district wears black shoes. She got lost and went to the wrong school. So Nefesh Hager is the answer out of an impossible situation. I saw a picture on Facebook of a guy and a girl and a donkey. And they show 4 squares. Her on the donkey, him on the donkey, them together on the donkey, no one on the donkey. And everyone says, what, you're letting her? You're like him? No, but everyone's got a complaint of one of the situations. You can't win. When the right answer is withheld from consciousness, you will never win. You'll just spin it and spin it and spin it. Thank God there is an answer. And it is called Nefesh Hager. And this has been a cooperation going back to Shem and Abraham. All the way back. And it's been going on to this day. And when it's all said and done, there will be the return of the redemption of the Ger. And the world will know that there is a Nefesh Hager. So by that right, Esau has been convinced that he is a Nachri. This goes with his wife Yehudit. Now you may say it sounds like Yehuda. Yehuda sounds like Judah. Judah sounds like Jew. Jews. And that's right. You look up why is she called Yehudit? Because there used to be a guy named Shem running around telling people what idolatry is, why it's wrong, why serving Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is correct. You've rejected idolatry. And guess what they used to call people who rejected idolatry even before Sinai? Yehudahites. You may have heard them called Jews. But they didn't speak English back then. What they did was they had Hebrew. Therefore you were called Yehuda. Or an Esau's wife, since she's female, Yehudit. So she marries Esau. She's a ger. She is a ger. And they conceive and have children. And those children are now ger toshav. So as Sinai, the Torah is given to the Jews. Why? For the liberation of the world. Once Sinai happens, the offspring of Canaan and Ham, you are no longer a cursed slave if you become ger toshav. You become a ger toshav. Because the nature of the world actually changed at Sinai. Everything ended of Noah's time. There was no more slavery to Ham and Canaan. It's called Din Yisrael. Israel accepted the Torah. You'll say, wow, so that's about Israel, it's all about you. No. It's a new era for everybody. The Torah comes down now to take on the 7 laws as the Torah was given. You no longer are a slave. You're no longer a this. You're no longer that. You are aligned with true reality. The world is ger toshav. Now, where you go from there, that's your prerogative. But we're talking about, who, releasing everyone from the original sin, this and that. It's a stolen idea. Sinai was the reset button. It was the repair of Adam and Eve. Once you have that, to be, let's say, this goy in the world who's convinced he's a goy. Everyone tells him, the Jews are them, we're a bunch of goyim, we have this religion. They say we're donkeys. They say we're this. We don't have a soul. All the things we hear. It's thinking put on people. 7 go to heaven. We're still idolaters. We're doomed. We can never keep Shabbos. We're not taking anything else on. Just try to behave and get to heaven. That is churchianity. So the realization is all of this conditioned and programmed thinking is just that. If you want to call a swan an ugly duck, you may. And he'll believe you. In fact, society is predicated on this. When I'm jealous of you, I will put you down and make sure you don't grow up to be better than me. If I'm pretty savvy with my Yetzer Hara. And how often do we see this? Conditioned from our youth, you're no good, you're this, you're that. And it goes on to adulthood. Religion is predicated on this. Where you're a heretic, you're a this, your soul is damaged, God has written you off. We make up all kinds of things. When the fact is, it is programmed into people's psyche. Sinai is the liberation of the world. We were liberated at Sinai. Right? Jews now become the Jewish people with the Torah, which is a side point. The world now is removed from Noah's era of the slavery of Ham and Canaan and this and that. The God of Shem reveals himself as Noah prophesied, the God Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, the God of Elokei Shem. And now the world can grow up and be what they want to be. No longer are you forced into having to be anything. And Shabbos is synonymous with Sinai. Right? The Jewish people are given Shabbos at Sinai. The righteousness was given to Adam's son Seth. Once there's Sinai, for you to connect to Sinai and to connect with the philosophical intent is to realize, and one opinion in the opinions, how do I become a ger toshav, Rabbi? Well, you can do this, and you have to line to Moses, and you have to go before a beis din, and you have to impress this rabbi and go before that. We don't hold of it today until the... Whoa. I don't know about all this. One answer is very simple, and to me, it actually overwrites all of this. Like making blessings on food. The rabbis go this, and maybe it's that, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. The Rambam says, you know what you do? Pick the food you like and make a blessing on any order. So here too, you want out of slavery and of am I a Amalekite, am I Erev Rav, or am I being attacked by a Amalek or Erev Rav? How do you just win the fight, the general fight of life? Sinai changes the nature of the world, ger toshav. So to be connected to real reality is to just go there. Anything else is just a foreskin over the limb. Right? It's a convincing, a blinding, don't look at reality, believe you are X or Y. Esau then, with his wife, he removes the idolatry. They get there. But she goes back on it, and she goes back to believing in her Yetzer Hara, evil inclination, she's a Goya. That's actually called mumar, an apostate. A convert that goes against the Torah becomes an apostate. A Jew who accepted the Torah and goes against it becomes an apostate. An apostate has the status of an idolater. If you tell someone long enough they're an idolater, they'll believe it. Esau fell victim to everybody's problem, including Moses. If you buy into a lie long enough, you will believe it. This is how Moses fell to the Erev Rav. So as long as Esau keeps telling himself, I am an apostate, I am a Nachri, I am an idolater, I don't matter, I'm not a Ger Toshav, I'm against Shabbos. As long as that mantra is being spread, it is believed. You'll tell a lie long enough, you will believe it. But the real essence to Esau is, Boker Tov Esau, your kids, because of Yehudit, are Ger Toshav. And Esau is given the blessing that the world is delivered to his hand. This is the only reason why Sinai was able to happen the way it did. Because the real reality is, Esau did his job. You might call him a horrible guy and he wasn't a tzaddik, but there is something called tzaddik v'tovlo. The righteousness good for him. And the one thing that Esau was great at is that he inherited the world. And you'll look to the future exile of Rome. But by marrying Yehudit, the ancient Jewess, let's say, of what a Jewess originally meant. And we've seen this argument before, haven't we? I am a Ger Tzedek. Well, that means that you are a convert. Yeah, what if I'm a Ger Tzedek and I'm not Jewish? What if I'm a Ger Toshav, Ger Tzedek? Doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that. Well, you're saying it doesn't mean that, but maybe it originally did. So Yehudit becomes a Jewish name, but what if Judaism, as we call it, existed before Sinai? You've heard of the tribe Judah, haven't you? That was well before Sinai. And well before him was Yehudit, the wife of Esau. So you see, these kind of things, once you hide Yehudit, she didn't exist. That question still burns amongst every Ger that I know. Why is she called a Jew, basically? And she's an idolater, she's with Esau, it's before Sinai. Rabbi, it doesn't make sense. In fact, it does make sense if you're prepared to go there. And if you go there, prepare for your eyes to open. Because what she did was saving the world. That changed the world's situation. That at Sinai, now because of her marrying Esau, God has caused to write in his Torah, Sinai happens, and it's now a Ger Toshav world. That freed the world from Noah's curses from Ham into Canaan, and the lack of complete redemption in Noah's time. The world was liberated. And it is still liberated. But she went back on it, and she has the status of a Nachri. But that's an apostate status. The very simple answer, do tshuva, which we all have to do, and you remove that shroud of reality. Once you remove that shroud of reality, it's a new world. The world of the Ger. the world of the Torah of Shem. Once that Torah of Shem world comes back into the forefront, Jews will start to wake up and notice. And then their world starts to change. And their apostasy starts to change. And their idolatry that they supposedly gave up will start to change. Because deep down, everyone's a ger. Everyone's far coming close. Everyone's a ger tzedek. So you might want to lock yourself in one label and think you know this and that. Bottom line is, it's one universal message. The vessel might mean something for him and for her, but the bottom line is, it's one message. And if you want to keep that message from getting out, eliminate two core items from your vernacular. Torah of Shem and Nefesh Hager. Alright, Shem didn't teach real Torah now, did he? So once you remove that from Torah, all you have is vessels without light. And look at the problem in the world today. All you have to do is refer to Proverbs 6:23. Is that what it does, Ken? 6:23 and 6:22. The Torah is light and the mitzvah is a candle. Well, where's the light? Did you read the Haftorah or not? The Haftorah this week is, guys, what went wrong? Where are the priests to the nations? Where is the light? If you want to know how the Haftorah ends, did you guys read the last couple words? You will seek I forget the exact language. You will seek the Torah from his mouth because iniquity was not found in his lips and he is an agent of Hashem. This is a prophecy in Malachi, which is the same letters of my angel, Malachi. And it is a reference to Shem, the Kohen Tzedek, the four craftsmen of redemption, the righteous priest. In the Haftorah, it's going on, the Kohanim messed up, the priests messed up, the teaching messed up, the light messed up. You're supposed to be the firstborn. You won it over Esau. Now, what's the problem? But we have a savior, let's say, in the Haftorah. Someone's going to come get it right. That is the Mashiach program. Should we get that program right? Pinchas Eliyahu, the Cohen, the righteous Cohen, but as the Parsha really illuminates, the hidden light in the Parsha of the Torah of Moses is the Torah of Shem. Who makes Esau into Esau? Who makes Isaac? Who makes Jacob? Who makes Rebekah? In fact, cover to cover of the Tanakh, who's the missing character each time? Shem. Who was the first person to make the Nefesh Hager, i.e. inspire Abraham? Shem. Shem is the reincarnation of Noah, even though they lived at the same time. Meaning Noah finds the world, Shem's on board at the same time making it right. Imagine that metaphysical reality. It's like Noah's working, he's setting his efforts up, and at the same time that he's working on himself, God delivers the final product simultaneously. It would be like you doing, me teaching now, and me being in this chat room at the same time, already rectified. In fact, there's a story in the Talmud. Moses sitting in on Rabbi Akiva's lecture. Rabbi Akiva says an amazing Torah. He says, how did you know? He says, I learned it from Moshe. Moses listening to his own lecture. Same kind of thing. Noah's working it out, and his future reincarnation is actually his son, and he's side by side. The finished product is right next to him. And that's the irony of life. Everyone around you, if you wake up and grow up and be a proper man or woman, you will get the rectified copy in everybody else that you don't see. As long as you don't see it, you're arguing, not me. You're doing the ugly duckling program. You're just he's just and they're saying, you. When you restore the missing information, knowledge of self, you say, hey, I hear what you're saying. And that missing knowledge of everyone, Jews and Gerim, is Nefesh Hager. Why is it left out? I don't know. It is the missing out part of the program. Call it a mullik or whatever you want to call it. So as long as you give a set amount of variables that cannot be deciphered, that is the essence of stupidity. That is the essence of the Yetzer Hara. I will wrestle out a program that I cannot possibly beat. And that's what people are doing. They're wrestling a game you can't win. Can a goy keep Shabbos? No. Absolutely not. He's an idolater. He's not even keeping the 7 laws. He's not out of idolatry. What's he going to do? Keep Shabbos in church? But once you restore Nefesh Hager, and the guy's come out, he's rejected idolatry, he's sanctified God, he's had his Naaman program, he's looking to love Jews, he's looking to work with Jews, tandem, side by side, like to the nations. He's looking for Shabbos whether you like it or not. And it is what he is going to do. Because he is no longer a goy, not in halacha, not in philosophy, not in any way you call it. He is a holy person. You might call him a ger, call him by his name. And that person is holy, and the Jew is there, hopefully, when he comes out of this tunnel, to say, Amen. I see you, brother. I hear you, brother. So in a limited set of variables, you will always be wrong, you will always be lacking, you will always look down on yourself. Introduce the real truth. There is Nefesh Hager. See, the Shabbos allowance is connected to if there is the Nefesh Hager. And how you say, well, maybe you're tricking me into Shabbos, and how do you know I have Nefesh Hager? Because if you're repenting, and if you're in the church, you're in the church. It's like little kids, they don't lie. There's something called Masiach Lefi Tumo. If you say something true, it is true. I have a meat factory. Okay, Bob works for me at the meat factory. He comes in, it's kosher. He comes in with a strawberry milkshake, and he has keys to the cooler. I'm thinking, oh God, this guy just trafed up all my meat. I say, hey, Bob, how's it going, buddy? And he says, good, Rabbi Katz. I said, listen, hey, you got here pretty early today. Did you happen to pull the meat out of the cooler? He says, it's a funny thing. I forgot my keys at home, and I was going to ask you if I can go get my keys. I didn't get in the cooler. So let me ask you, can I bet that the meat is not trafed up? Meaning, is the meat still kosher? Can I trust Bob here? The answer is yes. Because there's no way he lied to me. He forgot the keys. He didn't go in. Bob is not messing up the meat. It's called Masiach Lefi Tumo. There's no way he's lying. So if someone's interested in Nefesh Hager, it by nature is Masiach Lefi Tumo. He is going to say the right thing. And if you're not involved in Nefesh Hager, and you're talking about Shabbos, but you really are that idolater still, you're not going to say the right things. This is how people work together. How do you know who's interested in the job or who's good at the job? Whatever it is, you hear what they're saying. Masiach Lefi Tumo. It means speaking according to his innocence. Naaman killed the king of Israel. Why is he innocent? The pasuk, the verse says he was tumo. He didn't know what he was doing. There's no way you're going to find guilt on his soul. This is the story of Esau. You can make a movie about it. The rise and fall of Esau. Right? The bad guy, the good guy. Who is he? Is he this Yehudit's husband? Is he a mumar apostate? Is he this guy who wanted to kill everybody? Was he praying in the field? He was a man of the field. It says Ish Sadeh. He's the son of Isaac who prayed in the field also. He's trapping in the field. Meaning he wants to satisfy his father. You know what Esau is at the end of the day? He's a frum yid. He's the guy who imitates the rabbi, just trying to be as good as possible by being a parrot. And we learn a couple different things from that. A, that's not what God wants. God doesn't want the foundation of the universe to be on, well, I saw him doing it, so I thought I'd do it too. It might work on some low scale, but we're talking about the patriarchs, the building of the Gerim, the creation of Sinai, the formation of Torah is not to be built on, well, I saw him doing it, I thought I would do it too. Jacob's the opposite. He says, I saw you not doing this, so I figured I would do it. And you know who gives him that message? Shem. So Esau grows up, everything he does, I saw you doing it, I thought I would do it. He's not that bad. But the real irony is, when you're just a copycat, and you're not doing, let's say, what you're supposed to do, you might make big mistakes. You might have your Yetzer Hara. You may do evil stuff. So God puts the spotlight on Esau when he messes up. Let's say to everyone in the world, he's a great guy. Esau, thanks, buddy. Thanks for the deal and the cookies. No problem, Jim. And then all of a sudden he talks to Yaakov. I want to kill you, Yaakov. Somebody on Facebook spread a picture. If you ever want a reality check on your level of enlightenment, go hang out with your family for a weekend. Right? You're all enlightened. Everything's great. I'm God's favorite. I'm holy. Go hang out with your brother, okay, or your sister, your mom for a weekend. They will let you know real quick who you are. Hey, what do you guys want for dinner? I want steak. Oh, this one always wants steak. He's the baby of the family. You're saying, hey, wait a second. I was enlightened yesterday. Everyone was saying how great I was. Now you guys you're telling me that I'm just a baby still. So, Esau, in the books, in the Hasidic books, say he is Jacob's vision of Yetzer Hara. Why? Because Esau probably got along with everyone. But with Yaakov, he doesn't get along. And when you say he wanted to kill him, what are the chances of that being the language of man? As the Talmud says, the Torah is spoken in the language of man. I'm going to kill you. People say that every day. Oh, man, I'm going to kill you. You do that again, I'm going to kill you. Well, when we say it, we laugh or we take it in stride. Hey, settle down. It's okay. When Esau says it, we think he's drawn his sword and he's got a machine gun to Jacob's throat. You move again, you're dead. And then we contrive the situation. When he was there, he was going to bite his head off like a dog. Where did he do it? Okay, his Yetzer Hara maybe was there. He thought about it, wanted to, but yet we never saw him do anything. Now, the drive, maybe it's there, whatever it is. I'm not judging the guy. Okay, he's a Rasha. He's not doing God's will. But did you ever read the book of the Sefer Tanya? It's very clear. If you're not doing God's will, you're not serving your godly soul, you are serving your animalistic soul. Jews, Gerim, everyone in the world. It's like a dog. Some dogs are calm and you can do whatever and they'll never bite you. But he's still a dog. Some dogs, like in Sfat, or Sfat dogs, you look at them funny, they want to kill you. Another Facebookism that goes around, don't judge me for sins that I do that are different than sins that you do. Right? People do sins. So the fact is, what level of a sinner was Esau? Let's just say he was a sinner because he wasn't a tzaddik. And that's really all you have to know. Context. Read the first 2 chapters of the book of Tanya in English. You'll see the point. If you're not mastering your godly soul, then you are feeding into your animal soul. And we all have them. And to what extent it comes out, maybe you're an angel for your boss and you're horrible for your wife. Maybe you're an angel for your wife, everyone else thinks you're horrible. So the Torah shows Esau's danger spot was Jacob. And we learned from that. And you can learn the battle of the Yetzer Hara, the battle of exile, the battle of anti-Torah. It's a perfect story. It's a perfect story. We all have that story. That's why it's in the Torah. We all have that Esau counterpart. So that is the Haftorah. The Haftorah is, these are the problems. Everything I just painted are the problems. Why aren't you educating on Nefesh Hager? Why aren't you getting rid of the idolatry? Why aren't you being a light to the nations? Why aren't you upholding Shabbos? Why aren't you upholding Ger Toshav? Why aren't you teaching what happened at Sinai? Why aren't you acknowledging what Yehudit's name means? Why aren't you teaching what Esau really represented? Why aren't you teaching who was the influence behind this first family? The prophet says, you know what? Let Mashiach figure it out. Right? The coincidic program. Let's let that figure it out. Because your offerings are worthless. The priests are worthless. You've gone astray. Right? The priests are the teachers. And it's gone bad. And this goes back to Shem as well. The Kohanim are supposed to be Kohen Mashiach, the anointed of the priests. And this is another way of speaking of the Kohen Gadol, the high priest. Shem gives Abraham a blessing to be the high priest. This is the problem. Shem is the problem with everything, says Ben Yehoyada commentary. He says something very interesting. Shem got it right by giving Abraham the blessing, but Abraham was a priest, and he was married to Hagar, who was a servant, and he could not be the high priest. But he could be a Kohen Mashiach, so to speak, an anointed Kohen priest. And Shem gives the priesthood to Abraham, and it's a perfect transaction. No worries. But I'm not so scholarly, I'm not so smart, and I'm going to come along 4,000 years later, and I'm going to say, hey, Abraham took the priesthood from Shem, bad guy, he must have sinned. Because he gave the wrong intention of priesthood, God allows people to make a radical error in judging Shem. He lost the priesthood to Abraham. This is called Mashiach ben Yosef dies. Thus, every Mashiach ben Yosef program, until the one that lives, is rectifying this problem. It's called increasing awareness and understanding until a universal language and message is conceived. Because no matter how true you are, just like the Job program, we will not judge the program or the message, we judge you. No matter who you are, everyone's going to judge what you're doing. And Mashiach ben Yosef lives, rectifies, and dies every generation until this is fixed. Or until he lives to merge with Mashiach ben David. When the priesthood is restored, when the Kohen Tzedek is restored, when Shem's Torah is the light, 6:22 and 23 of Proverbs, when the light joins with the vessels of Moses' Torah. Those vessels of Torah of Moses, which were brought down by Gerim over the thousands of years. Who do you think perfected those vessels more than anybody? Esau. Esau is given the blessing in the world. His head's in the sky, his body's on earth. The Torah speaks about houses, rivers, men, women, kids, every vessel that matters. Esau says, you know what? Let's do this the right way. Let's perfect and polish these vessels so nobody ever questions the reality of them again. And that becomes Esau joining with the Torah of Moshe. Then you have the Torah of Shem. The Torah of Shem is, hey, underneath all these vessels, there's wisdom. Right? You have like a football photo on Facebook, the tough never give up. And you say, hey, that's me. I'm a salesman and I'm tough and I don't ever give up and I want to be a football player. Now I know what it meant when the coach said, be tough, don't ever give up. Then you see on Facebook other stuff, the toughest mountain to climb is the one that you never climbed. And you say, that's me. I always want you. And you get the wisdom of all the wisdoms of the world, of the things that people just say, and it starts to make sense as you grow up and become a man or a woman. I mean a spiritual man or woman. You start to make sense out of it, like knowledge of self and the matrix and what is this and what is that. And then you realize that it's actually light. It's the Chassidus of the Noahidus Chasidobos Olam. That is his, it's not pious or devout. It's a type of Torah. It's called stop being rigid and soften your heart and mind and let the wisdom penetrate. When you put that light into the vessels of Torah, combining Esau, Jacob, Moses, Shem, physical, spiritual, Torah, prayer, right? The text and the logic. All these dualities, black and white, you, me, male, female, wisdom, understanding. It becomes das. Knowledge creates awareness. Esau does his job. Jacob does his job. The Torah is being kept alive, keeping the vessels alive. Esau is producing them. Jacob is maintaining them. Jacob maintains the light of the Torah, and the Gerim, who take up the Sinai oath properly, maintain that light of Torah. Someone keeps the universe going. If there's a reason why not to keep Shabbos as it's brought down, because the universe must keep going. And if there's no Nefesh Hager, that means the Goy. But guess what? Guess what happens when the Nefesh Hager is given? Kamash Bilan, we hear the world does keep going. Because the Ger understands what that means. That the world must go on, the partnership must go on. They're not stopping. But if you were to convince the world, hey, let's take a couple days off, that wouldn't be good. But again, introduce Nefesh Hager, different story. In fact, you can say of the Haftorah, I don't need your excess offering, says the prophet. Well, the Torah's been going for thousands of years. Okay, but what are you producing? I'll tell you how you can start producing something really good. Add a little bit of the Torah of Shem into the vessels, you'll get a good product. Open your mind, put the Nefesh Hager in the Torah, meaning bring to life Rebekah, and Esau, and Jacob, and Moses, and Abraham, and Isaac, and Adam, and Eve, everybody. It's the book of Gerim in life. Put the Nefesh Hager in there. Once you do that, you'll find the Torah of Shem. Then you'll find that Shem really was there. Shem was educating all of them. Where do you think Isaac went to yeshiva? With Shem. Where did Jacob and Esau go to learn? With Shem. Who taught Rebekah when she was 3? Shem. Who taught her when she was pregnant? Shem. Who taught Abraham? Shem. Who taught Joseph? Shem. Who taught Judah? Shem. Who taught the situation with the Tamar and Rachav and Ruth? All these women? Shem, Shem, Shem. Who taught Solomon and Song of Songs? Shem. Shem is in the Torah. He is in our Parsha. He is behind every part of it. He is the idea, how did Isaac become a man? After Abraham dies, we see him jesting with his wife. He's still a little immature. A very late bloomer. Not a problem. Abraham dies. What does Avimelech say? You have become very, very, very great in enterprise. Isaac, you have just become the Torah definition of a man of Gevurah, of might. Esau is young. He comes out hairy and grown. That's an analogy for Esau becomes a man very young. If Jacob is the wrestler of an angel, who do you think is the wrestler athlete type? Esau. How does he perform it? In the field praying. Just like his father Isaac. Jacob is an Ish Tam. He's a simple man. Right? He's a bacher. He's a yeshiva guy. He's on the way of being a man. He's the late bloomer that Isaac was. They're both different composites of Isaac. And Rebekah's the real woman. A woman understands mazal, emunah, faith. God helps. God makes himself noticeable in little ways. Boker Tov, that happens to be God in your life. The Zohar that we didn't mention, a couple points I thought were great. Noah in Abraham's time wouldn't be anything. We've all heard this. I've said this a million times. The definition is, why did Noah debase himself? There's 2 types of sin. One is called chet, one is called avon. A sin is when you steal the cookie from the cookie jar. Avon is when you go around thinking about it for a week. And you realize, hey, I can steal cookies and mom doesn't notice. That's avon. You were pure and now you're thinking, man, I can do this. She has no idea how many cookies are in the cookie jar. Abraham is the sin. I sinned, I'm doing shuvah, I don't want to think about it anymore. Making Gerim, I don't want to think about sinning. Noah, not so much of a sinner, didn't sin at all. What he does is he brings the old school way, the vineyard, into the new world. Why did you do that? Why did you do that? Once you have wine, then you're having a meal, then you're having meat. Once you have meat, you get ideas to get rowdy. So Noah was permitted meat in the Aver Menachai, limb of the live animal, whereas in the first generation, the flood, they went crazy over eating meat. And we say, what is the happiness of the holidays? Meat and wine. It's actually a mitzvah to be joyous in holidays with meat and wine. Noah brings the problem in without sin. Abraham introduces sin, but he doesn't perpetuate the problem. In that respect, which one's better? The Torah tells you not to sin. Meaning, don't have this perpetuating thought. So how do you get rid of it for Noah? It's a greater level if you can defeat it. But if you don't have to go there, don't go there. King David comes along. God, I want to align myself like Noah, and I want sin out of me. The perpetual, I don't want to think about stealing cookies from cookie jars. That's the essence of David's Torah. That is the final repair of the world. That's why he is Melech Mashiach. Something I found on my own years ago at Rabbi Glazerson's house. David is Daled V'Daled, 4 and 4, 8, like the letter Chet. David's the gematria of 14. Nun's the 14th letter of the alphabet. David equals Noah in the rules of Remez. Okay, now onwards to the commentary. This was just the introduction. Where are we holding? We have 10 minutes. All right, I'll introduce a lot of it already. Let's see what I missed. All right, I'm going to go in random order now. All right, I think I presented the theme very clearly of where we're holding. So let me just knock out a couple core ideas. All right, random order. All right, so if you play it back, and you know, one thought may or may not lead to another. So pay attention. The Baal HaTurim commentary understands that the offspring of Ishmael fall in the last parsha, and the offspring of Isaac rise in this parsha. This is a hint that when Ishmael falls, Arab Spring, anyone? Look for the flourishment of Mashiach ben David. As Mashiach ben David is the idea of Isaac being the father of the Jewish people, and Mashiach ben David being that future offspring. And again, the message of redemption is Geulas Hager, redemption of the Ger. And again, how do you do that? Torah of Shem and the Nefesh Hager. Rebecca is davening, she's praying, she understands what it takes, and Isaac is a bit not of a man yet. He's praying wrong, he prays for the wrong conception of firstborn. Out of Isaac's prayer, we get Esau and Yaakov, Esau and Jacob. If Rivka, who in the end of the story we see she's successful, if she would just get the reins and have the ability to be supreme, we wouldn't have had Esau and Jacob, we'd have Shalom and Yisrael. Esau gematria Shalom, Jacob's future name Israel. And the Torah of Shem is prominent with Rebecca. From the time she's 3, she understands Mazel, and with Jacob, she understands Mazel, and she programs Jacob. When you go to Lavan to learn Torah by Shem, listen in my voice. Right? She's programming Jacob. Listen to me now. By the laws of Mazel, whatever I'm saying now, because I thought it, and I have faith, I'm telling you, listen to me. It is God coming through. You will have a message right now for Lavan. Right? If you can think to load reality, program reality, listen to me now, you'll need it later, just by faith. Mazel comes through the channels of faith. And Jacob then, when he gets to Laban, he's getting ripped off. That conversation inspires Jacob to do what she says, to come back repaired. As we mentioned, that Esau is a man of the field. You can say he's hunting, but what's he doing? He's praying. Rabbi Nachman has an amazing Torah of the field. Why do you pray in a field? Mind you, the field is synonymous with the Holy Temple, i.e. Zion. And if you conceptualize Zion, then you get the resonance of holiness upon you just by the contemplation of something supremely holy. Zion is where David and Aravna seal the deal of the Holy of Holies. So if you go there, the field, the temple, the Zion, Holy of Holies, Song of Songs, Aravna David, you get that effect on your soul. Literally. Rabbi Nachman says, the firstborn is in the field. the repair of the firstborn because Esau goes out there. If you have no faith, the field will be a drain. Esau says, I'm tired. Yet, what does it say in Genesis? The speaking or nourishment of the field. If you have faith that you will draw nourishment from the field, you will then be nourished. So Esau is told by Isaac, go out and get nourishment. Bring me back the mazal, the help of heaven. Feed me. Turn that spirituality into nourishment. Understand what I want, and I don't even know what I want. Just have God give you the message and put it in my mouth and satisfy my soul. Tell me you have understanding. Tell me that you are a real grown man, not just a parrot. I tell you what I want, you go cook it is not enough. You have to be in my shoes. Be empathetic. He goes out and he's tired. No faith. He fails. So where is he in Russia? Because he's being not authentic. If Esau would just be Esau, don't be an apostate. Just be you. Right? I'm from, I'm this, and I'm this. No, you're not. You're not letting God tell you what you are. Right? Real Gevurah, real might of Isaac is knowing what you are. Esau is then harsh Gevurah. I'll tell you what I am. Well, nobody wants that. Because it's not true. And you might look like a Russia. But once you give up the act, once you accept yourself and you move on where you got to go, you're not a Russia anymore. You're calm. Maybe you're even 376 at peace. That's the field to Esau. It's the anti-Esau. Whereas Jacob is a real man of the field, he becomes that. He is Torah, not prayer. He finds, listen to my voice through Torah. Rebecca says, listen to my voice. Jacob says, yeah, I hear the mazel. I get it. I get it. Shem was telling me this. Jacob served Shem for 50 years. She says, let me cover your arms with hair and the neck with hair, and we're going to trick Isaac, and I'm going to make you food. That's not what happened. How do you cover your neck and your arms with hair? Maybe it was a coat? Is anybody else bothered by this? What do you think it is? Some kind of game? Putting like gloves on? Like some kind of like goofy Hollywood script from 1955? He's wearing a coat. And how do you know? He gives his son a coat just like it. In fact, God says, you did trick your father. I'm going to dip that coat in blood just to let you know, Mida Keneged Mida, you did in fact tell something not so true. And Rebecca says, I'm going to set up the meal. The idea was that Esau figure out what he wanted. Know how to cook. Be a good husband for a future wife, for that Yehudit. Esau doesn't cut it. 40 years goes by, he marries the wrong one. He marries out of the tribe, meaning he's not interested in perpetuation. Jacob he's coming from very far. He's a nonconformist. He's going Torah over prayer. He listens to his mother. He understands that she understands mazel, and it was mazel. And she knows exactly what Isaac wants because she's a great wife. We learn the laws of marriage from them. Jacob then comes in, and he's playing the part perfect. The jacket, he knows what to say. Who are you? He says, Anochi, it's me. Esau is your firstborn. He says it with the tools in Hebrew with remes. He's not lying. It's me. By the way, so to speak, Esau is your firstborn. Isaac does all this stuff and he says, this is you, my son, Esau? But in Hebrew, listen to what he's saying. This is you, Jacob, so to speak? You're like Esau? In the good way? He says, yeah, that's me, Ani. Man, you're the one I want to bless. I thought you were wasting everyone's time as a simple man. Esau was a grown man already. Jacob says, well, late bloomer. Isaac says, that's me. My name means chedva and joy. I get it. I'm a late bloomer too. I understand you now. I didn't see you before. It was like I was blind. Now he becomes a man of the field. Jacob understands praying in the field, nourishment from the field, the temple in the field. And where does Jacob go in a couple days from now? He's going to go to the temple again. He's going to end up at the base of Mikdash in the field of God where the rocks come together. He gets nourishment from a rock. Did you ever hear that? Moses not nourishing from a rock? Well, here Jacob gets the nourishment from the rock. That rock is Zion. That rock is the holiness. Truth is given to Jacob. Jacob has the scent of the field on him. The scent is on him. Scent is the opposite of idolatry. We say when Torah smells good, it repels idolatry because it smells good. Right? Isaac has the faith. He says, yeah, I get it. This is the smell of the field. This is nourishment. It actually creates a sensation of smell. We say Mashiach can smell the impurity. Well, Isaac can smell the non-idolatry. Idolatry stinks. Non-idolatry doesn't stink. That's the scent of the field. Esau understands what Jacob's name means. Sol Mazelad, everybody? Names, meaning? It's in the Torah a lot, that's why I bring it up. Jacob's name means I grabbed the heel or you outwitted me these 2 times. What's the point? Every name means something. Jacob is living up to his name. This is why I stress names and what I do. Names matter. The mission is in there. Esau's head is buried in Machpelah. His body is for this world. But Jacob is given Yisrael. What does Yisrael mean? Rosh Li. The head is to me. Jacob gets Esau's head. The Mashiach ben Yosef mission. You might call it Mashiach ben Menashe. Menashe means to pop out and go up is what Menashe's name means. The other son of Joseph opposite Ephraim. The level that understands the spelling Menashe, Moshe with Inun. Moshe with understanding. The inner level of Jacob is that of Moses. Jacob is blessed by Isaac. We hear Rebekah was right. She's right. Isaac repents. He says, you're right. You should have been the one praying all along. And is this not the way it is? We think we're right. We think we're right. We think we're right. And you realize, you know what? I was wrong. I was wrong. We learn, listen in her voice. She is the master of Mazel. She got it from Shem. What do we hear from this? Every place of this Torah, of this Parsha, is latent with Shem. Every part. And a nice way of calling it is Torat Ish. This is manhood. We see different stages of man. Let's say the wrong man, Esau, he's not doing what he's supposed to do. Jacob, the young budding man. Just like on Passover, we say there's the son that's the wise one and the son that's the simple one. We say, well, the wise one, he's the best. When really, that's the Esau program, folks. And the dumb son, simple, he's an idiot. Well, you want to hear the truth? That's actually the Jacob program. Not what we thought it was. So the level of me and Jacob is growing up. Rebecca is the one that lived perfect, let's say, godless or greatness all of her life. Really being the secret student of Shem. And Isaac becomes a great man after Abraham dies. He gets an Ibor, a pregnancy of soul, from his father. You may even call it Nefesh Agir. Isaac is Gevurah or might, and he reveals to us what it is to be aligned with self. To really accept ourselves, know ourselves, is to know life, is to know Torah, is to know Moses, to know Shem, to know light, to know the vessel. To understand, make sense of reality. And that reality, as we said, is dictated at Sinai. Once again, a circular story. When something's missing from reality, when we say truth is missing from this world, that's when life is no good. We say, doesn't it get fixed or better than this? And the answer is, there's probably something you're not seeing. There's something here that's not revealed. In this case, the Torah of Shem, Nefesh Agir. From that, Shabbos. From that, rectification and repair. From that, brotherhood. As long as you're missing the key ingredients, things will look rough. People will be in boxes. Names will be called. Divisions will be set. And that is not being a man. That is a sandbox of little boys. Shem's Torah is about ish emet, to be a person of truth. Jacob becomes truth. He was the one who served Shem for 50 years. Really going after that truth. He inherited from Isaac, who inherited from Abraham, who inherited from Shem, who inherited from Noah. The entire Torah can be heard in the lens of Shem. For every vessel of Moses' Torah, who Moses is also an incarnation of Shem, a further development of the Noah, Shem, Moses program, then to be embodied by David. Jacob is the ingredient of truth that we can see. And Shem as the full range of Torah, the Haftorah is right on target. If you ever want to see an example of revelation of Mazel live, read the Parsha. Read some guy in Sfat mentioning Shem this, Shem that. I guarantee you, nobody will be talking about Shem to this extent in the world. Not before today, and probably not after today. Look it up, no one's going there. But you know who did? It's not exactly true. The Haftorah ends with the lips of the priest, the Kohen Tzedek, Nun base 52, the page number 52 in the tractate Sukkah. Rashi says, who's the righteous priest? None other than Shem, the son of Noah. So we've had the tradition. We've known that the Haftorah was about Shem, and this Parsha was about Shem. But where did the information go? Where's the Torah of Shem? Where's the Nefesh Hager? Whatever happened to the truth? Whatever happened to authenticity? The Haftorah got it right. The ancient Torah we have is right. The answers are there. Somehow we became lost in Esau's sandbox of little boys, throwing sand. But there's a sign of that there is life of greatness, and you can call them the Ger program, and the making of the Nefesh of the Ger program, and it continued from Shem until this day. The spark is alive. It's our job to authenticate it, accept ourselves in the game, in the process, and blow the torch to the light of the world through the mitzvahs, the commandments, the light of Shem, of Torah, Moses, God, the whole thing. A very nice way of saying it is, if the Haftorah can get it, if the Haftorah said it right, and it's right on cue with the Parsha, all we can say is, it was not an accident. If it's not an accident, it's Mazal. Mazal and Shem is what the Parsha is all about. If you look in between the lines, the Mazal still lives. We can still conclude how great Shem's impact was. And by that we can understand the final redemption of the four craftsmen, Shem the righteous priest, that the Shem's message lives on even to today, as the ability to make us grow up and face the truth of the world, the Ger program, Ger Nefesh program, the light to the nations, the priests, all included in the Torah of Moses that is illuminated with the Torah of Shem. Thank you very much. Have a great week. See everybody next time.